Hi there. Welcome back to Carlton, which are rambling. Those of you who are definitely in it for this type of astrology. I couldn't help myself because I had somebody very nicely ask me on TikTok to look into this. And of course, I have a lot of feelings about Gemini men, not based on my own experience with a Gemini partner, but based on countless clients who have dated Gemini men based on their charts, based on the amount of Gemini men right now losing their mind and trying to be in control. Okay. We have a particular interest in the Gemini man who would be losing their mind and has been facing a lot of chaos. So let's look at one particular type of Gemini man. And I will say that, I don't have these birth times. However, based on the events of all of these people's lives, I've made some guesses, but as always, these are for entertainment purposes only, and birth times have been determined based on life events and transits, not on speaking to them. Anyone watching this who would like to give me their birth times, I'd happily love to do so. I'd also like to put this out there that if anyone knows Jules, send her to me. I'm happy to give her a full a whole consultation, because women like her who get done dirty by a Gemini man suffer from something that I like to call Gemini poisoning. And Jules, if you would like any assistance from me, I'm happy to do it for free. Okay. All right. Without any further ado, here we have the birth chart of Mr. Lachie Neale. Okay. So let's pop this out of here because that's what it's looking like for him today. This is him. This is him. Okay. He's got the sun down here in Gemini and it's at a Taurus degree. It's 2 degrees. Okay. So there's a stubbornness to that. There's a money component to the way that he sees the world, like a value. There's value in things, especially in communication. Okay, 3rd house. So a lot to do with the give and receive of communication, a lot to do with, how you use words, right? What is the value of words? Mercury, 29 degrees of Taurus. 29 degrees is the last degree, and it brings a bit of stress, a bit of a critical kind of energy, right? So there's really a lot of importance for words, how words are used, how words affect your money, how information is received. And this other little symbol right here, this is called Priapus. This is the dark masculine energy where the cheaters lie. This covers everything from masculine sexuality into impotence, into cheating, into all of the masculine energy things that you would potentially reject about yourself or feel shame about or feel guilt about or not quite understand. Okay, so it's also in Taurus. 28 degrees is a Cancer degree related to the family and the mother. Okay, so interesting to me that right with the sun, which is a really important, one of the most important parts in your chart because of how affected we are by the sun. Money degree, Gemini, which is manipulative with words, especially in men. 3rd house, communication. Mercury's there as well. It's very stubborn in the way that it communicates, but it's also very surface level. It's very surface level, and it's very much run. This whole entire disgusting section is run by this, is run by this energy here. Okay, this disgusting Taurus, Gemini, stubborn as fuck, manipulative, talks the talk kind of energy. All right. Now, his sun directly opposes, okay, this is the 9th house of value, your inner values, how you critique your life and yourself and what you believe in and what your values are. And it's in Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius, and it's at 9 degrees, Pluto at 9 degrees of Sagittarius in the 9th house. Okay. So there is, this energy of Pluto in Sagittarius is an energy that is kind of here to mess up the system, right? To fuck shit up, as I normally would say. And at 9 degrees, it needs to come with some kind of higher wisdom or higher purpose or higher learning, right? This value system. So the way that he shows up in the world causes this friction with what he's supposed to be here to do, right? And he has a Chiron in Sagittarius as well. And it's at 0 degrees, right? So the Chiron is the father wound, and Sagittarius is that wound around truth, around, not trusting your own truth, not knowing your own truth. And, one of the things that Gemini struggles with is finding truth, right? Very good at collecting information, but doesn't sit deep enough to find truth. So a lot of the truth that he needs to be looking for is in this Pluto sign, right? The king of the underworld, in the spaces that he doesn't look at very much. And right next door there is the father wound, okay? And which we'll get into. I'll look at his Saturn and we'll have a little look there at what the father wound is. But this is Lilith, right? So this is the opposition energy here to the masculine, right? So Lilith is the dark feminine energy, guilt, shame, rejected self, right? It's in Scorpio. This is 28 degrees. And I don't want to make any assumptions, but I'm gonna. Right? Like this is 10 degrees Saturn down here. This is the energy of how he experienced his father, okay? And having a Taurus Saturn is like experiencing your father as someone who's quite surface level in the 2nd house for him as well. So it is about value, his worth, how he sees his worth. It's got a lot to do with reputation at work being 10 degrees. This also, though, having Saturn in your 2nd house, it's not great for when Saturn wants to teach you a lesson, okay? Because this is money and 10 degrees is work, okay? So this father wound situation over here had a lot to do with this energy of how he experienced his father as someone without a lot of depth, okay? Or who worked quite a lot or who was not quite around, but it was definitely someone who could not face their own levels of guilt and shame. And so the part that I don't want to speculate about, but I'm gonna, is that the Lilith wound often comes from the mother. 28 degrees says it does come from the mother. The Scorpio degree, it's very much related to the reproductive system and sexual energy, right? So there's a guilt and shame, and it's around the sexual energy, the reproductive system here, right? And it's at Cancer degree, the mother degree. And it asks for adjustments to be made in the way that he lives his life, in the way that he has his family, right? And it directly opposes how he really shows up, like his whole, how he sees the world. So this kind of tells me maybe dad cheated on mum, right? Maybe dad cheated on mum. So you can see here that then requires these adjustments, right? Saturn is requiring adjustments from this place in Pluto, from his value, his idea, his values, his idea around his values of truth, of higher learning, right? Of higher wisdom, higher understanding. Okay. And also causing a square here with the North and the South node, which is, that just backs me up, because that does tell me that, in the past, in his karmic past, where he's comfortable, okay, where he's comfortable being, is over here kind of being a bit of a weirdo, right? Especially to his family, because 16 degrees is another Cancer degree, right? So South node in Aquarius at 16 degrees, there's a comfort in being a weirdo to the family, all right? And that has a big influence on the sort of relationships that he builds, right? And right now, Saturn is causing some shit, okay? Saturn is causing some inner friction in regards to this comfort zone and what he's here to learn, okay? What he's here to learn, which is to express himself in a family kind of energy. 16 degrees, right, is to express himself in a family energy that opposes what he grew up with. And, 5th house, house of fun, casual sex. Okay. But also 5th house, where we were powerless as children. So what's he got there? Oh, Leo. So he was a little bit powerless as a child to be able to show his creative expression of who he was as a person. Okay. And that happens a lot to Geminis. Okay. Especially Gemini men. It happens a lot. And, most Gemini people are born into families where there isn't enough time or space, or the parents don't have enough time or space to be able to have their ideas heard, to be able to have their thoughts and feelings be listened to, okay? And so part of these woundings, like a Lilith in Scorpio is, trauma. There's a lot of trauma in a Lilith in Scorpio, and it really requires some deep inner focus, and it really has to overcome shame around sexuality and the intensity of that, right? So there's a massive transformation that is required that really had to come like down that line of the family, right? The Scorpio energy. So the mother, her sexuality, she held shame around it. And then maybe she cheated. No. And so he needs to like embody that, understand it, and move forward, right? But I mean, he's not doing that. Okay. He's got his Mars right there, like almost on the cusp of his 8th house, and it's in Libra. Libra is about relationships, right? So it's sitting like right there, and it's the masculine energy at the Aries degree in Libra. So it sees itself first. It struggles to balance relationships properly when it's in its masculine. And look, Mars in Libra, it doesn't like to start a fight, but it'll finish one. It's that kind of an energy. And I find it quite secretive. I find it quite cheeky, especially if you are a Gemini with a Mars in Libra. You are manipulating situations where fights happen so that you can finish them. And having a Lilith in Scorpio, you have a tendency to manipulate and control situations. So he has all of these gifts that are being used to manipulate situations. And that's where he's supposed to be healing, right? And having a Lilith in Scorpio is someone who has this overwhelming emotional depth and emotional trauma depth, right? It'll have feelings of like jealousy and like obsessive, possessive kind of energies, right? And it brings a lot of strain to relationships. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, oh, I saw Jules looking at somebody else and now I'm doing this, right? Okay, now I'm doing this. There's also with a Lilith in Scorpio at the Cancer degree, mothers, right? A strong attraction to taboo things, a strong desire for power and control, which like overshadows things like compassion, like empathy. Okay. Now, one of the other things which lines up with Gemini men is Gemini men anyway have a really hard time with like the internal dialogue demon, right? The internal voices, the parts of them that don't shut up. Lilith in Scorpio is very much linked to that as well, right? This idea of having to like struggle with these darker aspects of who I am. And it requires a lot of very deep self-reflection and self-work and a lot of balancing out of that energy, right? And it's very self-destructive and it's very damaging in relationships, having a Lilith in Scorpio if you don't do anything about it, right? And then who is she talking to? Like, because makes a huge difference, right? So she's talking to how he's seen. This is kind of in a positive way, right? So this is his ascendant. It's how we first see him enter the world. And this aspect is quite harmonious, right? So and she can work with the way that he's being seen, right? He's a Pisces ascendant too. I'm just going to illusion. So over here, this one requires some work, some conscious effort. This is the relationship line, right? So overcoming the Lilith, the Scorpio, shame, taboo, attraction, etc., requires conscious effort in relationships to overcome. It also requires, and again, this backing up that someone cheated in his family. This line here is asking for a compromise on what he learned from his family. So overcoming this, here we go, right? Now, directly opposing here, Mercury in Taurus, the way that he communicates, the way that he receives communication, how his mind works, what his mind patterns are, right? And that'll be his very trickster communication style that's quite manipulative, right? So to heal that, that's what it needs. So when Lilith makes an opposition in the chart, it leads to a lot of conflict, right? Especially because we're dealing with Mercury, so that's words. So there's a lot of conflict involving words, which we've seen, right? And we might not have seen it in his personal life, but you see it when he plays, right? People always want to fight him because he's running his mouth off because of this. Because he doesn't want to start a fight, but he wants to finish one. And by finish one, I mean probably lie down on the ground and pretend like he's been hit when he hasn't. It's just because he ran his mouth off. Okay. So when it makes an opposition like that, that's where conflicts come from. And that's where, you know, they sort of feel like at odds with the world around them. Like, I can't do anything, right? But that also, because we're dealing with Scorpio, that feeling, it has a huge impact on like the longevity of trust and intimacy in personal relationships, right? Because it makes like an opposition is somewhat of a mirror situation, and that guilt and shame and in the sexual energy, in the intimate energy, in that desire and possession and compulsive energy of Scorpio at 28 degrees, the mother degree, Cancer degree, family degree, it makes him somewhat mirror his own shadow into intimate relationships, right? Because Lilith won't shut up. She will make you see what she needs to teach you. And because it's making this opposition with words, how he communicates, how he gets his point across, how he discusses things in relationships, a lot of it has a mirroring effect of this trauma energy here, right? And when there's these challenges, which we see these red lines are the challenges here, this is somewhat of a challenging aspect, but not great. And, you know, it really turns the volume up on secretive stuff, like on being a secret keeper, on being obsessive, like it turns it up on all the Scorpio things, right? And 28 degrees turned up, like we almost all the way up. And it's very volatile in this aspecting that it's making. And, you know, I'm not surprised at the relationship that he's been having. And I'm sure it's been more tumultuous than we had even thought, right? Gemini men, all of the ones that I've ever dealt with as the exes of clients and also the ones I've met in real life, they're very easily able to cheat. They can turn it off. They can turn off that part of them, right? And they can do that because, I mean, he could definitely do it because this Lilith placement gives him like almost, he separates himself from people, right? Like there's an ease at separating himself from people. And like healing, we've got a trine and a sextile, so to the ascendant and the descendant. So I actually hate this because it is working with the ascendant, but you know, I don't really want the way that he shows up to be in harmony with this secretive energy. You know, I don't really like that. And that's where I think there is a lot of manipulative energy there. But that's definitely causing one of the problems, right? And I mean, like one of the problems in who he is as a person. Now, his moon in his 6th house, right? And Virgo at 18 degrees. I mean, that a mother who had a lot of rules, that experiencing a mother figure as a child that really took a lot of power out of his hands in regards to the relationship that he had with his everyday life, his habits, his physical body, right? And this is someone who had a lot of rules, had a lot of structure, and, you know, he experienced her as someone who told him what to do quite a lot. I would say probably because of this potentially cheating energy over here. So some of the karma that he is here to pay is this kind of family karma of being a bit aloof, being a bit cold in relationships, all right? His Neptune is there as well, 4 degrees. That's related to the Cancer energy as well, this big mother wound stuff, okay? Aquarius again. So this is like really feeling different from everybody else, feeling weird, not knowing how to talk about that within the family space. Okay. Uranus as well. All these 16 degrees, family degrees, Cancer degrees. Okay. The way he grew up had a huge effect on this. His Venus is in the 4th house, 16 degrees. Very much related to the mother. This feels a lot like the mother who told you what to wear to look good, but like not in a not in a, you know, not trying to help you kind of way, but in a like do what I tell you kind of way, right? Because probably had some issues with men because of, you know, Because you also get a Gemini child when you need to be able to communicate a little bit better, when you need to be able to be open to other people's opinions. So this does not surprise me, okay? This is also about to get extremely messed up in the next couple of days. So that's fun. Okay, so what we're going to do now is have a look at the synastry with him and Jules. Okay, so what we're looking at here on the inside is Lachie, on the outside is Jules. So Jules has her Jupiter in Libra in Lachie's 7th house. It's at 14 degrees, which is a Taurus degree. Again, let's not forget, okay, birth times based off the fuckery. All right. Okay. So, I mean, her ascendant is in his 9th house, so it definitely has something to do with his values, right? But it's at 19 degrees, which is about the give and take. It's a Libra degree. She's somebody like Sagittarius ascendant, somebody who would have had, and this is how one of the things that I use to kind of determine somewhat of a birth time is that Sagittarius rising have had a lot of chaos this year in their relationship dynamics. It also means that it puts her 7th house of relationship in Gemini. And Lachie is a Gemini. So you see it quite a lot, that the energy in people's 7th house, they sort of attract partners who contain a lot of that energy. And like sometimes it works, but not all the time. And so how she shows up in the world, the window that people see her through, has a lot to do with relationship, has a lot to do with, you know, being able to show the journey of relationship. And I don't know a lot about these people, okay? So we've gone straight off this astrology. Now her moon is there as well. So she's, you know, and this is his most social persona. So this is where we can see, you know, this is her ascendant at the relationship degree, her moon at the Scorpio degree. And this is right on his most public persona line, right? His MC. So she definitely is something, you know, she likes to have people see her relationship journey. And, you know, she likely experienced her mother as someone who was very driven. And, you know, there's this energy here where she is kind of supposed to be able to be seen in his social life, right? And that's her North Node there in Sag. So she's kind of here to be a teacher in a lot of ways, be you know, find higher wisdom and higher learning and like help people understand that. Something that she's here to do. It's helping about relationships as well. Like her ascendant and her North Node are conjunct. And I think what she's here to do is really show up as herself. And so this is really a situation where, you know, there's a lot of open space in his social life where she is okay with the relationship emotions being seen, right? So then this ascendant of hers, it opposes his 3rd house. So how she shows up and talks emotionally in his social life, it causes friction in his 3rd house, which, as we've seen, there's a lot of stuff in his 3rd house, right? It's also causing some kind of opposition to force evolution in his family house, right? Now, her father wound is in his 5th house. And I mean, it's a relationship father wound. It's being able to show up and have your own self be heard in relationships, okay? And it's like, you know, having a Leo Chiron, you've generally been overshadowed a lot of your life by like another sibling or a parent or something in your life that whenever you tried to show work that you had done or a project that you had done, it was kind of overshadowed, right? And that's right there with his North Node. So he's supposed to help her overcome this father wound and this wound of relationship. I mean, a Leo at 19 degrees as well, it's like you've done completely the wrong thing. They're going to be karma to pay for that, right? And you can see that here. You can see that here. Like it's directly opposing his Uranus at 16 degrees, which is the family degree, the mother degree, and his South Node, right? It's directly opposing those things. So it's causing this, like, you need to heal this comfort zone bullshit, right? And you need to change something within your family is what this situation, her father wound, is supposed to help him with, right? And it is working in harmony with so many things, but he needs to change something about his social persona, in order to help her, right? And it trines his Jupiter in Aries at 23 degrees. So she's here to really, that, oh no, I've just realized something. So she has this father wound that was supposed to help him heal. Like, so much of her energy is at 19 degrees, which is about the give and take, which is about relationships. It's a Libra degree. Okay, so she's got her Gemini here, her relationship line, Gemini, her South Node, Gemini, and they're both at 19 degrees. And I always see Libra degrees that have a somewhat justice kind of a component to them, right? So, I mean, he is supposed to help, was supposed to help her heal this wound, but maybe he's done that in like not a nice way. Like maybe now she realizes all of the things that she saw in him that she should have left for. Okay, because her Chiron wound, it affects, you know, how she shows up in the world. It affects how confident she feels about speaking up in the world, and it affects his Jupiter, which I love that, because in the negative, if he has not helped with this, then this Jupiter trying to expand his I am energy in an authentic way so people can see it, that's going to have a negative effect on that. That's going to have a negative effect. Okay, so where are we? Jules over here is an Aquarius, and like, interestingly, I'm telling you, Aquarius energy is power and fear for the next 15 years. So there's this big activation for her, and we're going to have everything come very close to her sun, to her point of fortune, to her Saturn. Okay, look, her father probably not around a lot, maybe a little bit cold, maybe a little bit, you know, too focused on the logical side of the world. Saturn in Aquarius people generally, and this one's at 21 degrees as well, could be a cheater, right? Could be someone who had to travel a lot for work as well, though. Okay, could be someone who had to travel a lot for work as well. But her discipline energy that comes through that, like right here, like her handing out karma right here with his Uranus. Okay, and 21 degrees is Sagittarius degrees, so it really opposes quite a lot of his Gemini energy. She kind of is the karma for him, to be honest, because being okay to talk about her emotions and the transformation of their relationship space in his social world, she's quite happy to do that. And that definitely is going to get you some karma that forces change. All right, definitely. Her masculine energy is in his 4th house. I mean, she's all... being a man that has done this to a woman that was here to heal you, Lilith in Sagittarius transit is not going to play very kindly for Mr. Lachie Neale. So I would like to look at that. So this is Lachie on the inside, and this is the sky. And all of this is rolling through his 10th house of legacy, social reputation, career. So Mercury is there, the sun is there, Venus is there, Mars is there, the vertex is there, which is a moment in time that is fated. And this in his 10th house, and Capricorn, take responsibility. We're in Capricorn season, which says take responsibility. And we are having a Venus Cazimi today, the 7th, and we're having a Mars Cazimi on the 9th. And that is when the sun meets up with these two things, the feminine and the masculine, the relationship and the drive, the sexual energy and the nurturing energy, right? And the sun meets up and it gives us some clarity. And it's giving us some clarity. Mars will be giving it at 19 degrees, which is about the cause and effect of how you use your masculine energy and whether you're locked in and whether you're focused. And Venus made her Cazimi at 16 degrees, which is the Cancer degree and related to the mothers. So all of this happening in his 10th house, Mercury there, we are communicating from a very factual point of view. So, I mean, we can expect to see some stuff here. I mean, literally, Mercury is opposing his family house. Things coming out, probably I'm part of it now, talking about some stuff that's affecting his family house. This is Venus in his family house. Okay, relationships. And Mercury wants him to really just ride the ride in a lot of ways. Okay, this is his vertex. So this is like a fated moment for him. And the moon is there. So there's a lot to do with feelings right now. Okay, judgment of feelings. This is, you know, we're at 10 degrees with the South Node as well. So how it's affecting your you know, staying in your comfort zone of being a cheater and a manipulator, how that affects your career moving forward. This is the moon in Virgo being very critical, and this is 7 degrees, which is a relationship degree that's almost on his vertex here. So this is like a moment of fate that is happening whether he likes it or not. And, you know, he does have this opportunity to take some conscious action and really take fate into his own hands, right? But that has to be a conscious action. This one's going to happen whether he wants it to or not. The only way that that doesn't happen is if over here he makes a conscious effort to do so. Now, this Pisces energy is off the chain, okay? And, you know, as as a Pisces ascendant wearing a mask in the 12th house, there's a lot of stuff that he can't see about himself, how other people see him, right? And part of that is what he's supposed to be learning, right? And this is like saying, well, you better make a conscious effort to see things that you haven't seen before if you want to move forward. If you want to move forward into something. And Mercury there bringing the fucking communication. So the sun also opposing the family house, causing friction in how people see him, right? Chiron right here on his Jupiter, expansion of the father wound, expansion of taking responsibility for the father wound, expansion for how he shows up in his I am energy, right? And you can see here that even though his ascendant sits around the high degrees of Pisces, there's a lot of Aries in that first house. Okay, this is a Gemini with basically a lot of Aries in the first house, but a Pisces ascendant wearing a fucking mask, talking manipulation. So the sun making these same things, right? Really lighting up some of the stuff his mother would have said to him and really asking him here to be looking at this nonsense. Like the ego that was developed because of the way he experienced his mother and how he thinks that's taking him forward. Big questions for him. Big questions. I also think it's interesting if we go, like, because this all came out in December. So let's just pop the middle of December in there. And Saturn right on his ascendant. Okay, having Saturn on your ascendant at an Aries degree with Neptune right there, 29 degrees. This is a lot of karma from the past for him. This is daddy discipline teaching a fucking lesson. And when it's on your ascendant, it's your reputation that lesson is being taught in, okay? Causing friction in his values, causing friction here with the sun on his social reputation, right? So punishment that contains the fact that you didn't heal any ancestral wounds that you were supposed to be here to heal, right? Causing friction here, social reputation, the sun there, lighting the hell out of it, right? You can't miss it. Venus right next to it, so it's involving relationship, right? Transformation of a relationship, and we're in Sag, so we're looking for truth, okay? Then over here, we got Lilith at 29 degrees of Scorpio, on his Chiron basically and on his Lilith, right? So he's having basically had like this Lilith return situation that he was dealing with this year, which is making him face up to all of this guilt and shame and energy around intimate stuff, right? We had the moon here at 25 degrees of Scorpio and the relationship as well at the Sagittarius degree. So all of this energy on his father wound, on his guilt and shame. So he was supposed to be healing this, but this was the public. And this is what anyone who follows me, Big Daddy Saturn with his friggin' backhand. This is how it happens sometimes in people's charts. This is friction. This here, this other point of friction down the bottom there, that's his family line, right? And his Jupiter in the family line, blowing it up, in his family house, blowing it up so it can be seen. This is the most private line. It's causing friction in the most private line, in the most public line, especially with the relationship here. And he's being told here, oh, you need to make a conscious effort with the words that you use when you're using your masculine energy. And he's got Uranus right there, bringing chaos to the masculine energy and to the way that he communicates the giving and receiving of communication. Now, this line here, it says, oh, hello, something needs adjusting in how you use your masculine energy. So yes, I'm pretty confident that this is Lachie Neale's exact birth chart. So let's get the cheater involved. Let's get the cheater involved. Okay, here we have Lachie on the inside and we have Tess on the outside. Now, Tess is a 19-degree Capricorn sun. Where does that sit on Mr. Lachie Neale's chart? Oh, is that almost in his 10th house of social reputation? See, almost. This, see that? Almost there. Not quite. Not quite in the social reputation, but very close. Okay. This is her Mercury. This is her fated moment. This is her Uranus. This is her Neptune. This is her Sun, all in Capricorn. Mercury in Capricorn at 11 degrees, there's an authenticity to the way that she communicates, but it's very direct. Fate gets taken away from her when there is something unstable going on, particularly relating to surface level stuff and like work things, right? Career things, money things. Uranus at 18 degrees, conjunct Neptune at 18 degrees of Capricorn. This is a chaos bringer, right? And I know that this is Capricorn, so it's not bringing chaos like out there chaos. It's bringing like Capricorn justice in a lot of ways. Okay, this is someone who is this the one that's Mormon? Because that Neptune at 18 degrees of Capricorn, that Mormon right there. So this is someone who came from very strict. Usually, you see this. It's very strict religious upbringings, right? Like a lot of rules around religious upbringings. And so then when we choose her Neptune right there, which is where you see that sort of stuff, okay, it opposes his family house. It opposes taking fate into her own hands and her masculine energy, okay? It is causing friction in relationships. This is his relationship house, okay? And her Jupiter is there. Her Jupiter is there at 14 degrees, money degree. I think there was something she liked about his fame. Okay? Because a lot of this is like that, okay? And look, her family line right there in Leo, her most private self in Leo, okay? It tells me that she kind of came from a family that, look, we're all a bit self-centered in a number of ways, and were kind of perfectionists in how they showed up, okay? It also tells me that she was a little bit powerless when it comes to her own creative expression, probably around sexuality, because 20 degrees is a Scorpio degree. And that's, oh, what's that of his? Oh, is that getting activated as well? Is it? His North Node, where he's supposed to be going in his family, being messed with by this. Okay. I love astrology. Then here in his 4th house of family, like her masculine energy on his Venus at 16 degrees, it's the same, a conjunct. His feminine energy, how he builds relationships, her masculine energy, her sex drive, conjunct, my friends, and opposing her Neptune, the way that her spiritual past told her to behave, right? Her ascendant is in his 2nd house. I'm telling you, it's got to do with the money. It's got to do with the money. She got a Taurus ascendant, so she like money. She like things that look like money. That's in his 2nd house of money. Okay, so she think that he look worth it. There's something to do with his money, with his reputation. There's something to do with all of that, right? Her South Node here in his 3rd house, which is where his sun is, okay, in Gemini. Like, this is her comfort, Gemini energy. She needs to be moving away from that and finding her own truth, okay? Then over here in his values, where his value system is her point of fortune, okay, and her North Node. So there's like levels of truth that she needs to find out about herself by like through his value system in so many ways, okay? Now, her moon, so her mother experience, I mean, that is part of what is shaking stuff up here, and it will continue to do so, you see. The moon at 12 degrees of Leo, so she experienced her mother. I mean, as someone who really kind of overshadowed her a lot, right? Definitely someone who was very into themselves. And 12 degrees is a spiritual degree, it's a Pisces degree. There's something that needed to be integrated in the way she experienced her mother, all right? And because it, like, there's an opposition happening between her moon and her Saturn, so the mother and the father energy, and the way that they needed to come together for her to find her own place, right? Now, that's also opposing his Uranus and his comfort zone. So causing this opposition where he was supposed to say no. I'm telling you, he did the wrong thing. He was supposed to say no. He was supposed to say no. Look, her ascendant worrying about money on his Saturn giving out karma in his house of worth and money. This is a casual sex house, causing like friction, and transformation in her relationships. Like her relationships are transformative. So when she's in them, whether they go good or bad, that transforms her. When you're in them with her, it transforms her and you and your life. Okay. This Lilith in Pisces, she got Lilith in Pisces and she got Venus in Pisces, 6 degrees. She used her body quite a lot to create an illusion. Her value system is very much involved with like a wound of faith, which of course it is. Like she's from this religious background, or this very strict background. I'm sure it's her that's the Mormon. And so of course there's guilt and shame in Pisces, because Pisces is that spiritual, right? So there is guilt and shame and you're rejecting spirituality. And the way that she uses her body, look, I'm telling you, he was supposed to say no. The way that she uses her body here and this guilt and shame, this is conjunct, right? Her beauty and her body conjunct. And this is him needing to take fate into his own hands. Venus conjunct, exact, his take fate into your own hands in his subconscious space. He was supposed to say no. He was supposed to say no. Why didn't he? Oh, he's in a value system. His ego stuff, right? He's in a value system. And then down here, his sun, literally squaring his sun. He had to make a conscious effort to say no, to be disciplined. And he didn't. And having a Pisces in the 12th house, maybe he was drunk, right? Because this is kind of illusionary space. Pisces 12th house, like illusionary space, could have been drunk, right? But also talking up his ego would definitely make it hard for him to say no, right? So huge. I mean, this is her sexual energy, her dark masculine sexual energy in his 6th house and with his body. So like if he allows her to use that energy, like, and she does that, that's like almost conjunct, that causes this moment of fate, whether he likes it or not. Like it takes it out of his hands, causes a moment of fate, affects his values, works very well for her. Like this could likely be better for her than it is for him. Probably for her money, to be honest, better for her than it is for him. She's probably gotten a lot more followers because of this whole entire situation, right? It trines his 2nd house of money. Like his karma, literally, good for her money. Wild. Let's see what kind of a friend she was, just really quickly. So let's take you out of here, and let's put Jules back in. I mean, their Plutos are conjunct in the 7th house. Their Plutos are conjunct in the 7th house. Okay, this is Tess on the inside and this is Jules on the outside. So Tess has a Pluto in Scorpio at 24 degrees. Jules has a Pluto in Scorpio at 25 degrees, which means there's something about their healing, right, that needs to come through sexual energy, through intimacy, through Scorpio related things. Okay, now 25 degrees is the I am and 24 degrees is the Pisces degree, right? So there's a spirituality to that. So Tess has to overcome some kind of Scorpio related energy, right, in a relationship in order to heal her wound of faith in a lot of ways, in order to integrate the lessons and become her own person. But Jules needs to figure out who she is and what she wants. Okay, and like again here, just with Tess having her point of fortune in Sagittarius at the 7th degree, like seeking seeking truth about a relationship is good for her. I'm telling you, this is good for her. It's going to end up positive for her. Now, all of her energies, right? All of Tess's energies are mostly in this 9th house, very spiritual. I think that she's probably a very spiritual person, but forces herself away from it because of the religious structure of rules. And I think that part of this situation for Tess is to kind of shake her from that and have her find her own way, okay? To have her find her own way. Now, it's her ego that gets punished the most socially. And look at this. This is also their Saturns are almost conjunct in that, like, that's karma being played out in a social place, right? And, you know, let me try and zoom in. Karma being played out in a social place in, like, for Tess, right? And this is Leo, right? So it's about ego. This is Sagittarius, about truth seeking. So this is Jules, truth seeking karma over here in the social reputation, okay, of Tess. Like, in the same way that she's absolutely fine to talk about her feelings and emotions when it comes to Lachie and his social space, this is absolutely, I'm going to tell the truth and give the karma for this, right? And in Aquarius as well. Pluto is in Aquarius, is power, right now in the sky. Then this here also near her social space. So this is good as well for Jules, because this is really, you know, this is the social reputation, right? So in the 10th house of Tess, and it's like, good luck, 26 degrees is Taurus, this is family, this is Aries, right? So speaking up for who she is, regardless of guilt and shame, overcoming this trauma from her family, and really being authentic about who she is, that, which is definitely involving this, calling something out in public, that's great for her, because point of fortune, 26 degrees of Aquarius, the way that she authentically deals with this, the way that she sort of shows up and allows herself to see this from her own perspective and to be quite open about how this is talked about, especially in this kind of ego way down here, like coming up and being like, you egotistical bitch, that's quite good for her. Right now over here, Uranus, like, because these girls have their birthdays are like a month apart, right? So the Uranus is almost the same, but Tess is at 18 degrees. And Jules over here, Scorpio degree, transformation. Neptune at the Scorpio degree, transformation. Like, her past is about, you know, transforming things, especially related to taking responsibility. She's kind of here to make people take responsibility in so many ways. Okay? And she's kind of being activated by Pluto being in Aquarius right now, especially when it affects people's reputation and money. Just saying. Okay. Now, this Neptune line here of Jules, right here on the vertex of Tess. So this is like, when I am shaking shit up in your life for the sake of transformation, and I'm doing it with the ancestors behind me, it's taking the power out of your hands, and it is causing a fated moment. Then around here, we have Jules's moon, how she shows up in the world, and her North Node, right? All in this 8th house. So the feelings that Jules has around, you know, her reputation, it directly affects this. It affects the moving forward transformational energy of Tess. Where are you going, huh? Where are you going? Where are you moving to? What are you moving towards? Are you getting uncomfortable about it? And then over here, Mercury in that 8th house as well. So again, it really comes down to how this is being communicated, how they talk about this. This is insane. Being in a relationship with someone where your Plutos are almost directly conjunct is pretty insane. It's pretty insane. And this makes these relationships way more transformative for Tess than for Jules. Okay, then just way more transformative. And we have got Lilith in the sky is in Sagittarius at the moment. So all of these Sagittarius placements are really being activated right now. And so, you know, for Jules, there's a lot of emotional stuff going on for her. She's overcoming mother wounds. She's overcoming, like, the cause and effect of how she shows up in the world and what she wants, and the imbalances that have come from her being a little bit fearful of where she's going in the world. And, like, This is the adventure of moving forward. This is the needing to seek truth in order to transform. And Lilith being here with this is pretty big, right? Like Lilith in Sagittarius is like the wild woman. It's very feral, and she's not quite there yet, right? So that's going to happen later this year. So that'll be interesting with how that affects these two, because Lilith is currently, I think she's just hit 2 degrees of Sagittarius. So it's going to take her most of this year to take about 9 months to get to this degree, maybe 8 months. Oh, is somebody going to be pregnant? Somebody could be pregnant. Where's the Cancer? Where's the Cancer? Hold on. We need to know what Jupiter in the sky is doing to these ladies. Okay, down here. Okay. All right. So Tess on the inside, Cancer energy. What have you got? She's got take fate into your own hands. Oh. Mars at 16 degrees, masculine energy at the family degree. Talks the talk. She got her moon in there as well. Second house of value, got Gemini energy, like going on this is like South Node. Comfortable, right? Comfortable. This is interesting though. Jules with a Mars at 8 degrees of Cancer, because we currently have Jupiter is retrograding. It's currently at 20 degrees of Cancer, right? So that's very close to Tess's take fate into your own hands, and her masculine energy, especially related to how she communicates with her family space and how she felt comfortable to do so. This is like needing to really use that emotional energy, Jupiter would be asking. But that also means that Jupiter is almost directly in opposition with her vertex. So, oh, that would have happened earlier this year too. Oh, hold on. I need to know this. I need to know. Okay, so at the end of August, Jupiter was directly conjunct Tess's Mars, right? At 16 degrees. So at some point during August, what it would have been 2 weeks before then. So August, huge, because August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. This energy, this expansion of family at the family degree, right? Especially here in the house of worth, on this take fate into your own hands, right? It would have been. So that was happening in Tessa's second house of worth and money, right? And there could have been a baby. I'm just saying they could have. That was a high risk of pregnancy. August was a high risk of pregnancy if they were cheating in August. I'm just saying. And it was like really supposed to be taking a conscious effort to not repeat mistakes of the past for Tess. Really needing to take a conscious effort to find better relationship values. And the MC in the sky, the social reputation in the sky around that same time was in her 7th house, relationships, asking for something to shift, like moving something in relationships. Like showing in a public way. Showing in a public way some kind of repetitive pattern. Is Tess a bit of a sneaky cheater? Is Tess a bit of a sneaky cheater? I bet she is. I bet she is. That's kind of what it looked like to me. Neptune, Uranus, you know, bit of a sneaky cheater. I'm telling you, bit of a sneaky cheater. In opposition, like with the masculine energy and taking fate into your own hands and worth and stuff. I see. Poor old Jules. I mean, Jules seemingly got confused by a lot of the things that they have in common, like Pluto's being in the same house, you know, Mars being very similar. The way that they sort of have their social reputations, they have kind of the same shame and guilt around it. They have this similar kind of wounding. You know, Jules gets affected by the mother wound. It sort of helps, it stops her from knowing who the fuck she is. But Tess is affected by the mother wound with values, right? So that's why her values are all fucked up. And that's why she's got Neptune in there, because whatever religious fucking beliefs she had, Jules, honestly. I mean, this is wild. This is wild to me. This is also like the way that Jules is in relationships, like the way she balances relationships. It's like, it's almost directly like Jules's relationship line and her south node, so her comfort zone and where her karma is, they're conjunct, right? And so then her south node in Gemini at 19 degrees is conjunct in the second house of Tess, who is Gemini at 21 degrees. That. And like almost being seen, almost in the first house, but no, here in the value. And this is like, what do you need? Like where you're comfortable. This is a Sagittarius degree, okay? There's a Libra degree, relationship at Libra degree, Gemini. Like this is very much going to affect worth, value, and you know, the way that Jules is in relationships based on like things that have happened to her in the past is going to absolutely be in a different point of truth when it comes to the way that she's now experienced this person. Wow. I mean, this as well. This as well. They both have a similar sort of father wound, right? But Tess, hers has more of a say on how she takes responsibility for family things. This is ego, right? Whereas this one, it's sit right here. So it's on the family line, but it's not quite the same. 19 degrees again. The Chiron wound that affected how she allows balance with her own creative expression showing up. This is exactly why she's okay having like Lachie be out in the limelight, but this is different. This is having to like take responsibility for your ego within family. So massive lessons to be learned by Tess, to be honest. And that's not going to be very kind, because like, so in astrology, whatever house your Saturn sits in, it kind of tells you how someone's going to get karma dealt out when they do you wrong. So if we take Miss Tess out of here and we just left with Jules, and we have a look here at where her Saturn sits in her third house. So Tess is very likely to face a lot of her karma when it comes to communication, probably receiving a lot of hate. Also within her siblings, also within her groups of, people, friends. Communication with friends. Okay. I mean, and because this Saturn is at 21 degrees, like truth will be talked about. Okay. Truth will be talked about, and Tess is going to have to deal with that. And that, like, the more that Jules talks about this with truth, the more that she like overcomes this wounding of her father and actually speaks up for how she's feeling, it's going to cause Tess a lot of problems with how she communicates. Okay. The third house is ruled by Gemini. So there's about to be a lot of chaos in that space. And because Aquarius for Jules, there's power in it, 21 degrees Lilith, so bringing in a bit of a wild kind of feral karma. And it's going to really show up in communication, right? Like siblings, neighbors, early childhood, all of these third house things are going to be affected for Tess. I think it will probably affect, she's got kids. I think it will affect the schools that her children go to. It's going to affect. Good. That's how karma gets played out. Okay. So, you know what? I want to look at one more thing. I mean, I lied. We're looking at two more things. So I just wanted to see where Lachie's energy sits in Jules' house, right? So his sun is in her 6th house. His Mercury's in her 6th house. His Priapus is in her 6th house. Okay, so he just tell her that she look hot, that she look $1 million. He just buy her presents that make her feel good about her body. And, you know, that's already quite a lot of manipulation, right? Because it opposes her 12th house. So that's things that she can't see about herself. And in her 12th house, he's got his guilt and shame, his mother wound, his father wound, and his dark underworld space in her 12th house, in her house of subconscious. That's awful. That's awful. You see, and her dark masculine and his dark masculine energy, it opposes her Pluto. His ascendant is in her family house. His Neptune is in her house of worth. His social career is in her 1st house. His relationship is in her socials. So anything that happens with them, we'll see it. Like anything that happens between the two of them, we'll find out about it. Like that relationship shit, we will find out about it 100%. 100%. Okay, last thing I wanted to check. Okay, we're looking at Tess and Lachie. So Lachie on the inside, Tess on the outside. Where's her Saturn? Right there in his 11th house. Oh, MC and her Saturn in his 11th house. So her social reputation and the way that karma gets played out if he does her wrong is going to be friends, the future, groups of people, relationships. This is going to affect his relationship with the club 100%. 100%. And like just the way he communicates is being affected by it, because interestingly, his sun is in his 3rd house, and with Jules having her karma energy in her 3rd house, he is going to be severely affected by that. Like talking to his friends, groups of people as well. So that's like the club. I mean, Saturn dishing out exactly that karma, right? Like you didn't pay for the karma that you were supposed to pay for, right? You stayed in your comfort zone, and now you are getting like directly socially, it's affecting you. Okay. Her Saturn also asks for what he learned from his mother to have some adjustments, asks how he feels about relationships, Venus energy, right? Asks for an adjustment in the family space, right? The way she dishes out karma. It causes friction that asks for a transformation in her relationship specifically, but just in his 8th house, right? So transformation required, 2nd house of worth. It's going to affect his money. It's going to affect his money. She's going to be sitting pretty, but it's going to affect his money. And he needs to make a conscious effort with how he's communicating in his relationship, and make a conscious effort to fix his values. Like her karma is literally dishing it out in all of the places that he doesn't want it. Nice. Nice. I love that. Her Jupiter is in the relationship. Again, everything that is happening with them, we will see, especially if it involves money and the relationship, right? We'll know. We're going to know everything. And then her father wound, her family energy, her, her moon, her emotional space, all in Leo in his 5th house. In his 5th house, like impacts his fun, but also impacts where he felt powerless as a child. Her Mars and taking fate, her masculine energy and drive and motivation, and taking fate into her own hands when it comes to her family is like her Mars is conjunct his Venus. She gonna ruin his life, and he deserves it. And he deserves it. He had an opportunity and he didn't take it, and now he's in trouble, and he deserves it. And this is her masculine energy. Causes friction with his underworld, causes friction with his subconscious space, and is kind of forcing him to make some changes. And if he doesn't make some changes, they're going to happen anyway. I like that. See this? Money. Reputation. She's going to talk a lot about it. She's going to be put into positions to talk a lot about it very publicly. Well, that was fun. That was fun. Don't be trusting Gemini men. I can't even sit here and say not all Gemini men, because all of the Gemini men that I've met, all of the birth charts that I've looked at with birth times, all of the people who have been in relationships with Gemini men suffer from Gemini poisoning because they are manipulative and fuck. And this one, very manipulative, extremely gifted at manipulation. Okay. Extremely gifted. So fearful of overcoming all of his wounds, especially his father wound, especially his mother wound. So fearful of that he is doing the exact opposite of what he's here to do. And Jules, you're going to be the karma, because this is Tess like literally causing just havoc in his groups of friends, in like, which it will be, right? Because he was friends with the husband, causing it in his groups of friends, in his people. It is karma. It will be chaos. It will be chaos. Chaos is coming. The further into the end of January, my friends, the end of January, we are in a massive Aquarius energy, and there is going to be some shit playing out for this at the end of January, because we're having a lot of Aquarius energy. Then we're going to have an Aquarius eclipse. Where is that happening? New moon solar eclipse, 28 degrees in Aquarius. So when the moon is at 28 degrees of, is that solar eclipse? New moon in Aquarius. So the new moon in Aquarius will be at 28 degrees. So it is going to be aspecting his Lilith, his guilt and shame. Almost, it's going to be making a direct aspect with that. His masculine energy. It's going to be, he's going to be answering for this. There is going to be some massive clarity coming out here, and it's going to be impacting her, like her MC Aquarius, 20 degrees. That's going to be very close to this eclipse. Her social reputation is about to fucking shift. What, she got anything at 28 degrees? I mean, this is her karma as well. This is going to be her karma as well getting played out. Okay, good. Okay, good. Good luck. And I mean it. Jules, if you're into this sort of stuff and you want some help, come on down. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. That was fun for me. Never trust a Gemini man unless you've showed me his birth chart. Okay, stay with.